Welcome to 207 Squadron streaming channel, bringing you the best in X-Wing that Maine and New Hampshire has to offer. The 207 Squad is a bunch of tabletop players who love all things Star Wars, especially games like X-Wing, Legion, and Armada. I'm your host, Josh Shu, and one of the moderators of our little squad. Tonight, we're continuing our month-long online TTS tournament, Chassis Wars. With me is our streaming and data analysis guru, Alex Barbary. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Hey Josh, how you doing?
Thank you for always for your technical support. And our co-host Will Webb, here to drop some analysis knowledge. Hey, Will.
Hello, how's it going?
So obviously this is our fourth round of Chassis Wars at this point. Just in case our viewers don't know what they're watching, would you sum up what Chassis Wars is for us?
Yeah, so each week players have to bring a 200-point extended list that uses a unique chassis for each pilot and does not and does not reuse a chassis flown in any previous week.
Sounds pretty exciting. I mean, obviously, we've seen a bunch of different lists so far, and obviously, are there any trends that you would sort of point out at this point? Now that we're in the fourth round, any new meta evolving as a result?
I I don't know if there's new meta, but you kind of see the cycle of ships. I think you see some ace play, you see like the four ship rebel list, and like here we have a good matchup of a imperial ace and kind of like a scum salad list. So I don't know if there's been a true meta that's formed, but there's definitely been some very interesting and fun lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that there's some really cool archetypes, and we're seeing two of those archetypes tonight. Will, who do we have playing tonight?
So we have a scum and a imperial matchup. So we have, and they're both three, or I guess undefeated players. So tonight we'll really decide that. We have Joel Springle. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, Joel Springle and Rogelio Hernandez going up tonight. So it should be a really great matchup.
And it might be fun to sort of point out that before this, I talked to Rogelio and Joel, and it seems like they've gone 2-2 this summer outside of 207 Squadron, outside of Chassis Wars. So this is sort of their tiebreaker as well. Seems like a fun match. They seem to encounter each other quite a bit, and so it's interesting. And it looks like we're almost pretty much set with all the players. And I think we're about to start. Alex, you can let them know that we're ready to start whenever they are.
All right, will do. Let me text him right now.
So, what have we seen Rogelio play so far, Will? What have you noticed on his side?
If I remember correctly, Rogelio has done a lot of ace play. Uh,
And he's done a lot of ace play, right? So far, last week we saw him run a really interesting first order list. Yeah. And from week to week, we've seen him just run aces consistently and repeatedly. What about Joel? What have we seen from Joel so far?
well, the one last thing I want to say, like Rogelio doesn't also really like need a bid, which I think also kind of shows what kind of player he is. Like, he's a casual player. Like I think he's real smart, and to be able to play aces and not really have to worry about a bid, I think it talks a lot about the quality of player that he is. Um, so yeah, Joel. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look back at he. I know he started off, or no, he had a Dengar, Fen, and Han list that was really exciting and kind of inspired my week 3 list. That looked a lot of fun. And last week in week 3, he flew a list that I think we talked a lot about, where there's a saturation salvo on a couple of his lists with barrage rockets, which I thought was a good pairing because barrage rockets has a lot of charges anyways, and saturation salvo allows you to force your opponent to re-roll their green dice. So he's definitely flown some real interesting lists, that's for sure.
Absolutely. He came in swinging with that Han Fen Dengar list right at the top of week one, which definitely set the tone for the rest of his matches, where he's gone pretty much undefeated as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're waiting on Rogelio. He seems to be out for a bio break right now. So, Will, tell our players what will they be taking away at the end of this beyond these digital prizes, or what physical prizes will our players get?
Well, so we have, you can kind of see on the screen there, we have our focus tokens, our evade tokens. We have our 207, and these are all acrylic. Our 207 target lock tokens, our acrylic shield tokens, and I know we have another couple custom cards and a pretty sweet prize box. And we have a Gonk damage deck box, I believe, as well.
Yeah. So for our last player, the player who has played all the games and landed last with the lowest MOV, we are providing them with a Gonk damage box. Yeah.
That's awesome.
In addition, every player will get a Hera flip card with Hera on the B wing and Hera on the A wing. We'll also be providing alt art cards of Disciplined, Cutthroat, and Hopeful, as well as the acrylic tokens that Will already mentioned. Those come from Curled Paw Creative, as well as Moose Shields, which every player will also get as well. And obviously, we'll talk more if you're watching players how to access that.
And did we say the damage deck too? The 207 damage
Oh
deck?
yeah, the 207 damage deck is a digital version only.
Okay,
But those are digital versions only. We're not going to be providing a hard copy of that.
Still
And it looks like
amazing, though.
they're ready to go. And looks like,
Perfect. And we're off.
and we're off.
Start with the mighty Torkoal Mux with a forward 4 and a focus. Start the focus battery. And Zuckus is doing a 2 bank to the right and a barrel roll, which is white because of the Mist Hunter title. And then we have a 3 bank, which is blue because Ketsu likes to go fast.
And Whisper does a hard one. Obviously, takes that evade. Probably going to cloak a little bit later on, because what else would you do? That's just ailerons, 1 bank, and then 1 forward. Takes an evade. Vader pulls a hard 2. Does a barrel. And decides against linking that action to anything else. And Whisper cloaks for the end of phase. So, Will, let's talk a little bit about Joel's list. Obviously, it's a fascinating list. We're seeing Zuckus that we don't see that often. We're seeing Torkoal that we don't see that often. What's the theory behind his list? Will, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, my
You're on mute.
headset issues. Headset issues. So I think that this list kind of just wants to punish one ship per game. You know, they kind of hone in on someone that's within Ketsu's range, apply that tractor because Ketsu can at 0 to 1 can apply a tractor token during engagement, and then that really kind of can set things up with Zuckus being able to throw an extra die. You know, giving an extra green die is not statistically as good as getting that extra red die. And then Torkel on top of that is just going to drop the initiative of that ship all the way down to 0. So you notice on the other side there's aces, so that's going to matter a lot. So I think they're just going to really go in there and try to punish one ship per opportunity and go from there.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, this is all about positioning, making sure that everybody's aligned for that exact shot. So all those conditions are met, and those conditions are pretty hard to meet, right? Like, what is the dream world shot in your opinion?
Well, I think that maybe try to get there's some asteroids out, or there's a asteroid out there. Maybe you can get someone on an asteroid that loses a shot because of one of your initial jam at engagement, and then you shoot to get another jam on. So you're kind of manipulating the battlefield and moving them where you want to go. And I also think you want to get that perfect setup where Ketsu can kind of just jump back and forth doing that K turn, because having Maul is just so nasty. And then Contraband coming back with Cutthroat. There's just a lot of opportunity for shenanigans with this scum list, and if it's all working, then it can be pretty devastating.
And Whisper decloaks, and we're on to Dials.
A 3 bank to the left from Torkel with a focus, and then a 2 bank from Zuckus with another barrel roll. What a maneuverable ship. And then a one straight from Ketsu with an evade.
Duchess ailerons 1 forward and pulls a 3 forward, bumps. Seems like we're going a little bit out of order, but Vader goes 1 forward.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake.
That was a mistake.
Yeah.
But in terms of engagement, I don't think it necessarily makes a huge difference at this point.
That's true.
Yeah, I doubt either of them have a shot at this point.
You guys are so reasonable.
But if we want to sort of send them a little reminder, that probably wouldn't hurt at all.
Well, I think they figured. I think they figured it out.
And obviously, Rogelio is deciding what to do with Vader, where to position himself at this point. And so he decides to barrel. And will he link? No. And Whisper pulls out a 1 bank. Just a light, gentle bank. And he barrels. So let's go ahead and obviously I'm assuming that we don't have shots at this point. So let's talk a little bit about Rogelio's list. What are your thoughts on that, Will? Obviously, this is a very, very sort of powerful aces list. You've got Vader right there. The downside is that you have Duchess and Whisper together, which can be really powerful, but a little bit of a glass cannon. What do you think in your mind is Rogelio's strategy at this point?
I think to pull them across the board, to try to pull them apart, where there's not going to be 2 to 3 ships shooting at any of his ships at any one time. Because they can pretty much handle any one-on-one combat, no problem. All 3 of them. I do want, in my heart, Fifth Brother to be on Duchess, but I definitely understand why it's on Whisper. But I think it's going to be he's going to have to be really patient.
I imagine the same thing, right? Obviously, playing aces is always just like the hit and run game. Hopefully, you get the shots aligned, but if you don't, you just keep on running and repositioning, and really just staying out of that nasty Ketsu right arc where he can tractor you, staying out of Torkel's arc so he can sort of diminish you to a 0, so you're stuck sort of just waiting till the end of the round before you shoot. Especially Whisper, that can be really punishing, just because if Whisper gets in Torkel's arc, that means that she won't be able to shoot, get that extra evade, and protect herself from actually, getting that. And they obviously recloak. So it looks like at this point, right? I think Rogelio's going to try. He's already decloaking. Yeah, I think Rogelio's going to have to get to the other side of the board just to stay away from Torkel, because obviously Torkel's swooping in at this point.
And you're more of our resident ace player in our group.
True enough, and you know Scum better.
Oh my gosh,
than a lot of us. So this is a sort of us. This is something that I imagine us playing against each other. So this is actually quite delightful to watch.
It's definitely easier.
I was just thinking, is having gone up against mostly scum lists throughout this tournament myself, that makes me just nervous watching this setup.
Yeah, scum is really dominated.
And looks like Duchess is just going to try to swoop around as I expected. Obviously, he's going to try to stay out of that arc. I'm interested to see what Vader does. The downside here is that, of course, right, Rogelio can get trapped in that corner if he's not careful, if he pulls all those ships over. But it'll be,
Ketsu being up past that rock, Ketsu's going to have to swing up around. I mean, I think Duchess is actually in a really good position right now.
Yeah.
See.
And
so yeah, I missed a couple movements there. Torkel did a 3 bank to the left and got way in there, and it looks like, what did he do to stress himself out?
To rotate.
Did he
boost?
I
believe he may have boosted in. Yes.
Yeah, I think he boosted. Yeah, Torkel boosted to the left, and then we had Zuckus do a 2 bank, and then a 1 straight from Ketsu, which is odd because Ketsu usually likes to, kick the doors down like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And Whisper, obviously, aileron went 2 straight and then barreled away. And Whisper did a hard 2 in, and then it seems like used passive sensors right there. Or looks like some kind of charge right there.
All right, range 3.
And so it's a range 3 shot on Whisper.
See, I think this is where Ketsu can be really dangerous. Yeah.
And rolls. Oh, and Whisper whiffs.
Hit crit from Ketsu. Oh.
Spends that evade and loses 2 shields.
So now Ketsu gets to move Whisper with a jam if he wants to. Okay.
And moves him further away?
Yeah, so he can't shoot him.
And can't take that evade as a result of that. And therefore can't cloak.
Wow. That was a brain play.
The counterplay here is really strong, and I'm impressed by it. That was a smart move. Typically we would expect the player to move it onto the gas cloud for the obstruction, but actually forcing Whisper not to have a shot, so actually sort of simplifies things. And I think that's end of round.
And it all
there are no shots.
It all started with a natty hit crit.
At this point, I'd expect Whisper to run so that he doesn't get trapped. We're probably likely to see Whisper take a cloak action just so that he can get that action economy back up again. And it looks like Zuckus has a shot obstructed. and decides to roll that additional dice. And what does Zuckus get there, Will?
He gets 2 crits. Wow.
And Vader has to spend the focus. Unbelievable. To actually stay alive there.
This is starting to seem like our kind of match.
Well, let's see. I'll be intrigued here because obviously Rogelio can still pull it back. I imagine Whisper is going to be running. Yeah.
That's true. I agree with you.
Oh, you meant the way I roll green dice, which is obviously
because you curse them.
I curse them. Absolutely. So obviously Ketsu's going to sort of come in right here, as Nick pointed out. Yeah. I'm interested to see what Zuckus does here, sort of to block off the pass. And, obviously Torkel just sort of rolling up slowly, putting on the heat.
Does Zuckus just stop?
That'd be interesting, right? But, I mean, would you want him to get stressed? Obviously, right? Duchess isn't particularly a threat, but will be sort of, right, at least turning to some extent. Vader's gonna obviously have to turn in here. There could just set up a shot for Zuckus right there, and I'm not sure you want Vader in arc of anything.
That's so true. Yeah, I think Zuckus is in a tough spot. I think Torkel and Ketsu's, like you said. But yeah, Whispered. Oh, here we go. Torkel's doing a forward 3.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that stress. And the third focus to maybe use with Lando, where you get to spend a green token to reroll 2 dice. You have a 3 straight from Zuckus. Somehow did not overlap. And is taking a target lock to maximize the dice roll. Okay. And jamming with false transponder codes, really trying to
lay the heat on Whisper, because Whisper late game, if you let Whisper live late game, she'll come back and haunt you. And rolls for that strain.
It makes sense now that I see it, but I think I would have done like the hard 3, but no, it completely makes sense doing a 5K.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think he's thinking ahead. He doesn't want to get trapped here. All right. Obviously, if he's stuck going forward, if he banks in, then obviously it's quite predictable where he'll head next.
Yeah.
Whisper runs as we expect and cloaks,
but will not get to keep it because she's jammed. Right?
Do jam tokens work on cloak tokens? Just work on green tokens.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
But yeah, so and that's the best she's got right now. But she does have that force to spend.
Mm-hmm. But the second she uses, trades it for an evade. All right, we
and Vader does a hard 3 and to take a target lock on Zuckus. And spends an action to take a focus as well. Spends a force, to take that focus. And it looks like we are at the start of engagement. Looks like nobody's in Torkel's arc, so that's safe. And nobody's in Ketsu's arc either.
Wow.
Duchess has got that range 3 shot. And rolls for 2 hits. And it looks like 1 evade. And Zam goes off. Getting 1 charge. And we'll see if he takes the lock. I think they're debating. Do you take the lock at this point? Do you switch the lock?
No. I think I just take the charge, which he
Absolutely.
hasn't done yet.
And Zuckus shoots next. That's a range 3 shot on a cloaked Whisper.
But no
No
mod.
dice. So that's 2 hits.
It's a pretty good start.
And he spends the lock.
Oh,
Or when, what do we see here? Call it out, Will.
3 hits and a crit. Oh,
And Whisper rolls the green dice to the dice gods and pulls out 3 evades,
it's not bad.
but enough for a crit to go through.
Oh yeah, because shields are down.
And it looks like it's a fuel leak.
Wow. Scum shenanigans.
Scum shenanigans for the win so far.
Oh,
So where do you head now? If you're Joel, how do you sort of keep Vader from laying down some threat?
I
Do you
don't know.
pursue Whisper? Or do you chase down Duchess?
I don't know. I think I still think that Joel has pretty good position, but yeah, I think Whisper has to be chased. Has to be chased down. You don't want Whisper running around with a couple damage left because she can be super dangerous at just with one hull left. So I think you gotta try to track her down while you can. Ketsu has a really good position on Darth Vader though. I don't know. I really like the position that Rogelio has right now.
And it's interesting to see whether he'll try to sort of create 2 paths with Duchess, whether
Mhm.
he'll go in towards Zuckuss or he'll
Mhm.
sort of bank out. He's obviously got those choices to make, and he can sort of pick when the time comes. Whisper here is cloaked, so we'll be interested to see if Whisper decloaks. I imagine Rogelio will be bringing Whisper to the edge of the board, trying to get as far away and reposition
Mhm.
until he's ready.
For sure. Maybe like a cloak forward and then a hard 1 or hard 2 to get far away.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see how far Zuckuss can go. Obviously, he's pulled out a card to see what the maneuvers are for Zuckuss and how
Mhm.
fast he can go without stressing himself, right?
Mhm.
If you were, I mean, obviously, 3 bank for Zuckuss is a red. Would you stress yourself to sort of get some to close in on Whisper?
Yeah, because I don't think I really don't think that Duchess is gonna meet Zuckuss. I think this could actually be a turn where Zuckuss tries to get position. So maybe I wouldn't do a 3 bank if it's red. I think maybe like a 2 bank and then a hard turn the next turn. I think this is more about gaining position with Zuckuss because if he can get behind, then he can really hurt whoever he needs to. Because
And
Whisper's hard to track down.
I mean, with Ketsu having a good shot on Darth, whatever he does, Torkel probably bringing down some heat too to also sort of bring Darth down to a 0. This could be a dangerous turn for Rogelio.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I see they just brought up the dice stats. It means people are not happy with them.
Well, it seems to be relatively bad on the green side,
Yeah,
obviously.
for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a rough round with an evade on Whisper and a force to sort of have to take 2 shields. So that's a rough turn for any kind of ace player, which is, you constantly hear me about my green dice. But if I were to have a call sign, I'd probably go by blank out. That would probably be my call sign. Which was my call sign, to be fair, when we played Heroes of the Aturi Cluster. So, yes.
Should have been there for my match um, against Joe this week. It was blanking out the whole time, greens and reds for me. Or sorry, not Joe. I played against Matt LeClaire.
Ooh.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the green dice, they're they're the tricky lovers, right? When they hit, they hit. They always hit when I at least expect them to hit.
What kind of lovers are you finding that are hitting you? But I mean, that's maybe for another conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation altogether.
We don't want to get into that right here.
This is a wholesome podcast, Will Webb.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Hey, we run a family-friendly show.
I'm sorry. Oh, man.
And it looks like we are almost ready to go.
This is
Pretty
a tough
tense round. Yeah, it's a tough round. And it looks like he decloaks, pulling himself closer to that rock. Okay. Really nice move.
What would you have done here?
I think that's a brilliant move.
Okay.
Or not. Looks like we're going backwards. No, we're going forwards again. And obviously he takes that sort of evade. I'm assuming what we're going to see here is a hard 3.
Okay.
Or something. Or a bank 3 just to help him boost out, reposition at this point. I'm not sure exactly if he's going to be bold. Interesting, Zuckus.
Yeah, we had a hard 2 from Torkel, keeping the focus stream alive. And then a 2 sloop from Zuckus, just not really caring, because he's like every other move is red, so I might as well turn around. And then a 4 straight from Ketsu, trying to catch Vader, I think.
Focus. And here we are. Here's that hard 3.
Oh,
from Whisper. Pulls a bump, but still has that evade token.
Yeah.
And Duchess. Depends on what Duchess picked here, but it's interesting to see what he'll do with the aileron. I imagine he's going left towards Zuckus, but depends on what he's picked underneath. And he banks towards it, goes 3 forward, and pulls a bump, unfortunately.
Wow. Lucky Zuckus.
And Darth does a hard 3.
Wow.
With no room to afterburners, likely. And so how will he barrel out?
This is rough.
Can he barrel out at this point?
Mm-mm.
You don't think left and back, maybe?
There might be that opportunity. I think it's cutting it pretty close. So he takes that focus.
Spends the force.
I think he barrel roll to get away from that rock. Okay.
And takes the lock.
Chad is confident Darth would fit if he barrels left.
Yep. And he tries. Chad is confident. And appears to have overlapped an obstacle token. That is unfortunate. He cannot barrel. He does not fit.
Failed action.
It's not The Price is Right. We don't want to be listening to the audience on that one.
And it looks like Vader gets a tractor token. And is barreled onto the rock. And rolls for a damage. And gets it. This is a rough round for Rogelio.
Mm-hmm.
He's got no shots this round. And it looks like Zuckus has no valid targets. And Torkel has Vader range 2. Would you have barreled Vader out of way? I mean, here's a point where he could have laid a lot of heat on Vader. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough call. I mean, so he went from being in range. If he barrel rolled, he probably would have been in range of 3 ships. Now he's just in range of 1. So I guess at the end of the day, it's not that bad. I think.
Yeah.
And now he rolls
Torque.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was not bad. This could have gone a lot worse.
It could have gone a lot worse. I was expecting, Vader to have to burn through his force. I think that maybe would have been my choice, sort of just to keep him sort of recovering and running away. Obviously, Vader's going to run away this turn, and it's going to be hard to catch Vader. But it looks like it's going to be pretty simple to catch Whisper right there. And now, of course, Joel's got the flank with Duchess in the back.
What's rough though is Joel's only taken one shield.
And Vader's nearly at half. Whisper is at half with a fuel leak that hasn't been able to be repaired.
So this is it's gonna be a mighty steep hill to climb. So if this scum list wins, that means that we will have, I think, yet again, as we've seen in every week. I guess maybe I didn't answer the meta question correctly, where scum is kind of just like raining terror over the rest of the list.
I think, people underestimate the power of Scum sometimes, right? Obviously, there was Boba. We were all scared of Boba, and then we all felt really sad when he got nerfed by losing that sort of crew slot. Duchess does a 2 and takes the evade, decloaks and takes the evade.
We got a hard 2 to the right with the focus to set up a bump for Zuckist. I that's probably to keep Vader in arc. And see, now you can just turn back and forth over and over again. This is where I think it's pretty dangerous with Ketsu doing a 5K.
And Whisper does a hard one in. The sort of go-to move for Whisper. At this point, I feel like Rogelio's got to start laying in some heat. Otherwise, he's going to spend a lot of time catching up with nearly 45 minutes to go, halfway through.
Yeah, we really need the dice to kind of even out a little bit.
And I'd be intrigued to see what Duchess is going to do at this point. If he's going to activate, I assume that Duchess might do a hard one, but obviously, will he run the risk of the strain on the gas cloud in order to sort of get past and away from Torkoal?
Yeah, probably. Maybe you could also get away with doing using ailerons to the left and then a hard one, and it kind of like whips you around that gas cloud without getting a strain.
And banks away.
There you go.
Hard one.
And now that sets you up really nicely next turn. You gotta like evade here. Ooh, focus. Okay.
Focus. Interesting. Vader goes 5 forward.
I'm so used to Fifth Brother being on Duchess that focus makes sense.
And clearly will attempt a barrel.
There you go.
And this is the ace play that we know and love, which is if you can't shoot, run away, run away, run away. And I wonder if he'll link to sort of pull off a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And he will, and he'll pull that lock over to Zuckis, which makes sense. And so and he drops the initiative bomb on Whisper. And does Ketsu have a shot there? It looks like he doesn't have any shots.
Mm-mm.
Zuckuss, no shots.
It's just some marshmallows from Torkel.
And we'll see if they're marshmallows. It could be enough to it. Hopefully his dice are forgiving.
Oof.
And
Oh,
he's got Fifth Brother, and
he's got to do it.
He's got to spend the evade. The green dice have not been kind to Rogelio tonight. And Whisper returns fire. And it looks like range 3 unobstructed. And rolls a hit and a crit with a focus, but
there you go. 2 shields.
And Zam goes off.
So that should be another charge. I don't know if we're correcting that, but he missed that last time when Zuckuss got shot. I don't know how we're handling that.
I thought he had full charges as well, because he pulled up 1.
Yeah.
On that.
Because he had to think about the target lock and then ended up not taking it. That should have been a charge.
Yeah.
But, missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. But if you miss that charge, then obviously, right, that is a May option, right, for Zam, I believe. And it looks like Whisper decloaks because it does hit. Whisper cloaks because it does hit.
Very lucky that happened.
So where do you go with Ketsu now? Where do you lay the pressure?
Oh, this is tough. So I don't think you can't fall for the trap of going for Whisper. I think at this point, Whisper has snuck out. So staying in the middle is not such a bad idea with Ketsu, where you can kind of move forward a little bit, then ping back and forth with a 5k of, Ketsu's full health, so you can be a little aggressive, and Contraband Cybernetics is still active as well. So Ketsu still has all the tricks. So I would go straight into the middle of the board, I think, with Ketsu.
And Zuckuss, are you going in the same direction that you've been heading towards Vader? Obviously you've got Duchess on your flank coming up, so if you ignore her, she's obviously going to be a threat.
Yeah, I think Zuckuss would cover Ketsu's flank. I think you have Zuckuss go like a hard right or bank to Zuckuss's right to cover Ketsu's flank. And then it's a shame that Torkel's mobile arc is facing to the left right now. So I don't know. Rogelio's position isn't so bad right now.
Not at all. He has a chance to sort of take this back, take control of the board again.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vader is just going to sort of run this turn, just get repositioned. But he's got a chance here to sort of turn it around, put it back into under his control.
Does he have enough time, though? That's the question.
Yeah. Nonetheless, even if the lack of time, I imagine that Rogelio will be playing conservatively at this point.
He needs to get some points, though.
And he pulls himself closer to Ketsu. Takes out evade, obviously. And Torkel turns in. Takes that focus. And Zuckuss just keeps on turning around over and over again. Gets a strain.
I like the way he's flying Zuckuss. With a 4K. Oh, a 1 bank. Okay. Did not expect that.
Does decide to pursue Whisper, depending on where Whisper ends up. But I imagine we'll see what Whisper does. And Whisper rolls forward.
You can just barrel roll right out of that.
And barrel rolls right out of that. Absolutely.
See, I don't think you can. You don't want to try to chase Whisper. She just makes you look silly.
Any of the phantoms.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Torkel has Whisper in Arc.
Yeah. But Josh, you do that to us with Echo. You just make. I feel like every time I've flown against you when you have Echo, I just all right. I just need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and then it's gone.
It'll be interesting. I never think it's a good idea to chase down a phantom. Just like with aces, right? You don't want to chase down ships. Like if you have the shot, you take the shot and then you run again. I think with Whisper or Echo, if you're flying against a phantom, you basically take the shot when you have it. If they've made a mistake and you just keep on pressing them to make a mistake, you lay on the heat, but I don't know if I would have necessarily pursued Whisper at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe set up a block so that he didn't have the option. Maybe even rotate your turret at this point.
Because now Ketsu's kind of locked in that direction.
And that's just one eye. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, from Darth, yeah.
From Darth, re-rolls with fire control, gets that hit, and spends the force.
There you go.
But he's got the gas cloud.
There it is.
There it is.
So he got shot now. There we go. Let's remember Zam.
And he's not going to sort of pull off that double shot. And Duchess rolls a crit and spends it for the hit crit. He's trying to get in some points right now.
Oh, and he does.
And so does that put damage? It does.
Is that a direct?
And it looks like it is a damaged power
disabled.
regulator.
Yep.
Disabled power regulator.
And Zuckuss is not engaged yet, so that's when he'll get the ion.
And that is really unfortunate because that sort of puts him at a disadvantage to be able to reposition.
He does get 2 ions though, because he's medium base. Oh.
And he spends the lock for the reroll, pulling off.
3 hits. That's a good reroll.
That's a good reroll. And see what Duchess can pull off with 5 dice. And 2.
So then one of the gas cloud makes 3. That's exactly what Rogelio needed.
And Torkel coming in for the 2. Hopefully. Gets 1 right there. Whisper will be safe unless he rerolls, which he will.
Using Lando.
Lando to reroll. That's 2 hits. And
wow.
Looks like Whisper is safe.
Yeah, good. Wow, this is crazy.
And Whisper for the shot.
Range 3.
Or a range 1.
Oh, that's right.
Obviously, I would lay on the heat on Zuckuss at this point. But Zuckuss is not necessarily a threat. He's going to roll straight forward.
Does he already have points on Zuckuss?
He already has points on Zuckuss.
Yeah, so maybe do go into Ketsu now. Oh, he's going to Zuckuss. Here we go. Range 3.
This is a big turn for him. And it's 2 hits. He's unfortunately already spent his focus. And pulls another hit on Zuckuss with double evades. Now this puts Ketsu in a very unfortunate position. I mean, he is stressed, is he not?
He is. He still has contraband though. So, I mean, he can ignore the stress for a turn, but it still, I think, puts him away from the fight for a turn or 2.
Right? To clear that stress, he's got to roll forward. This was a really powerful turn for Rogelio.
Yeah.
He took some hits early on, but it seems like he's recovering. He's in a great position. Zuckuss is just going to roll forward and obviously not have any shots this turn, it looks like.
Zuckuss could get popped this turn.
I would predict that. I think that's a fair assessment. It really depends on what Ketsu's going to do. Maybe he can sort of provide some support. Torkel's kind of left out there, only just sort of bringing people down.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you think Ketsu can fit the heart too?
That's a close call right there. I would hope so. I hope for Joel's part that he'll be able to do so, but then that sort of sets up a block for Ketsu.
Yeah.
And so depends on where Ketsu is going to head.
So that stress is gone. Was that like a mistake that stress was out there?
No, I think he rolled it onto the ship itself. So the stress is still out there. It's just on top of Ketsu now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see it now.
And so Nick points out Vader has to be careful, though, because Zuckuss will get a Zam shot on Vader. That's if Vader's even in arc at this point. I highly doubt that with Duchess getting out of the way. I wonder where he's going to go here with Ketsu. I think the real big question here is where Ketsu ends up and how he sort of is able to sort of reposition. Would you have turned your arc last turn, knowing where you were and where Whisper was?
On Ketsu?
On Ketsu.
And I think, unfortunately, Ketsu's... when you choose to fly Ketsu, your arc is stuck forward. It's like flying Ray. Stuck in a certain position.
True enough.
So no, I think I would have kept it forward because, I thought that was some really smart flying to get Whisper completely out of the way. I mean, Whisper's just such a cagey ship to track down. It's tough.
And at this point, I mean, Whisper is just gonna decloak to the right, pull in behind, and just lay on the heat again. Duchess is just gonna pull in and just.
Ooh, here we go.
And this is sort of a powerful turn. We'll see what ends up happening. Torkel
R2, a focus,
and does make that R2.
A 1 bank.
And
a focus.
And
fully charged Zam, so we have a potential for double tapping.
I imagine that Darth Vader is going to go as fast as he can and Afterburners out.
Oh, it fit.
It fit. Incredible. Ketsu does a hard 2 and it makes it.
That was big.
That was a big, bold move.
I wish we could take a screen capture of how close he is to that rock. It's insane.
It looks like did Ketsu contraband. It does not look like Ketsu contraband. Did Ketsu contraband there?
I don't see it flipped, so no. I think he's hoping that Torkel will provide some good backup.
And Whisper turns in. And does he take an action? What is his action right here? Does he passive sensors, which puts him at 0? Does he take a focus? I mean, obviously, Torkel's got that re-roll for the double focus, which he's considering. If I were him, I would just focus just for the extra support. It's dangerous to passive sensors here. Let's see what he does. And obviously, Torkel can 0 Vader out or 0 Whisper out at this point. Joel has done a really good job keeping Torkel a threat by just having that double arc. And goes 2 forward in Zuckuss's arc. Takes a focus. Now this is a dangerous place for Rogelio to be in with Vader now, because he's got 3 shots coming at him potentially. Specifically, he might be in Torkel's range right here, so he could be zeroed out, and then Ketsu could lay on the heat. Zuckuss, if he lives, could lay on the heat.
It's a tough position. I was expecting a 3-speed maneuver so we could have more of a say.
Oh, and it looks like Vader is just out. And who does Torkel select?
I mean, Zuckuss could be initiative killed this round, so I mean, it's not.
And he chooses Whisper.
This is not all, sunny days for Zuckuss right here.
But he could get that Sam sort of bonus attack before initiative is finished.
That's true.
And that's 2 hits. Rerolls for the crit.
Oh!
Spends the force. Looks like we're going to make that another crit too with maximum damage and just 1 measly dice right here. And that's 1 evade. He lives.
Depending on the crits. Oh, dead.
Direct hit. It's direct hit.
And a hull breach. Wow, that's a dead. Zuckuss hopefully chose the Zam card that lets him shoot back. No,
he didn't.
All right. Surprising.
And it looks like it's Ketsu's turn. And goes for Duchess. Spends the force from all. And this game has quickly turned around. All of a sudden. Rogelio found his footing after some bad green dice in the beginning, and it seems like he's laying on some pressure. And Duchess has got that hit crit. Ketsu rolls 2 blanks.
Wow, shields down.
And looks like Torkel's going to go and hopefully take out Whisper.
Torkel needs to get some damage in here.
And spends a focus for the reroll. And gets
big.
2 hits and a crit.
Range 2. Damage is coming through.
Needs 2 to make it through. 2 evades. Yeah, let's see what the crit is. And it's another fuel leak taking off Whisper off the board.
That's huge.
So both players have managed to take off 1 ship in 1 round. This is a incredibly tense round. But props to Rogelio for really pulling it together this round and sort of taking control of the board again.
Which do you think is the bigger loss to the list?
It's interesting. I'm not sure here. I think Whisper is a great late game, but you shouldn't discredit, Duchess. Duchess is just there for extra dice. I think the bigger losses was actually the shields on Ketsu, having to take shields on Ketsu. I'm surprised that there wasn't the double tap attack from Zam.
Yeah, me too. The cards weren't even there. I feel like he was.
Yeah. It looks like it was a missed opportunity where Zam wasn't set.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he may have had the wrong Zam set. If that's the case. Yeah, it looks like he had the wrong Zam set, which cost him. He chose to recover that charge, and so unfortunately, there was no opportunity for a double tap. It seems like.
Oh man. That was a bummer. But
yeah, that could have been really powerful to sort of just lay on some heat on Darth Vader.
Yeah, that could have been a dead Vader.
Where do you think Ketsu heads at this point?
I think you turn it around.
You turn around?
Yeah, 5K. Why not?
And right on that gas cloud.
I mean, the only scary thing is then you're kind of opening Torkoal up, but I really do think that's, or maybe you just do it one straight and use, because doesn't Ketsu have tactical scrambler? Yeah, so if Ketsu's obstructing a shot, then the defender rolls an additional die. So maybe Ketsu just does a one straight to help tactical scrambler go off. This might be a good opportunity for that.
But obviously, if I were Rogelio, I would be most concerned about Torkoal. I mean, him just dropping the initiative down to 0 every turn is incredibly painful, and so he's lined up to just sort of continue pursuing and hopefully get out of arc of Ketsu just by going a little bit faster. I'd be intrigued to see what he does with Torkoal. I mean, you want to sort of keep all these ships in arc so that you keep on getting the initiative kill. But right now, obviously Joel is still in the lead. So with 21 minutes to go, I think, again, Rogelio has time to sort of breathe and get past the loss of Whisper.
Yeah, especially with Darth Vader out there. I think Whisper would be a bigger loss if there wasn't, the leader of the Sith. So then we have a one straight with a focus. A 5K. Okay, interesting. I don't know. After that, I really think I would have done like a one straight and done tactical scrambler to help protect. I think you made a good point about Torkoal.
So ailerons rolls over the gas cloud. And is he going to roll for strain?
I mean, he should. I don't know if he has maybe. Can we radio in and say, hey?
Oh, it doesn't matter because he removed for blue because it was a blue maneuver that he revealed. So it was just cleared anyway.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like he barrels. And Vader goes 4 forward, but he can't. Can he boost out? He can boost out if he wants with an afterburners.
He may want to.
Or he could be bold and roll right back in, but I highly doubt that that's a good idea.
Well, I guess if you're trying to kill Torkoal, that's the end game.
But you've got to live that long.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems rude to initiative drop Vader.
Oh, yes.
And he does it.
He says, whatever, I'm coming in.
Obviously, if you're points behind on points, this is the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he spends the force.
See, this is
to
where
get the lock.
It comes down to Ketsu rolling well. Like if Ketsu can just throw
Vader onto that rock.
Yeah.
Can he throw Vader onto that rock? I'm not sure.
We'll see. With a one straight? I think so. We'll see.
So it's 3v3. Ketsu rolls 2 hits. Has the lock.
Oh, man. Oh.
No, just 2.
Lucky
Vader needs to live through this.
And he does.
Gets that focus, spends that force.
Wow.
And is able to live through that. Duchess, range 1 on Turkle. And that's just one hit. And does he take it? Does he spend it? He loses that reroll if he does. He does spend it.
You have to spend it, yeah.
It looks like he's got a range 1 turret arc. Or a range 2 shot on Vader.
I think if he had a range 1 opportunity on Vader, he might have kept it, but...
And he gets 2 hits. Vader's got that lock. Does he spend it? No, he's going to leave it.
Yeah,
obviously. And Duchess misses, takes 2. That's half on.
Wow.
That's half on Duchess. And Joel now at least has half a table.
Mm-hmm. Wow, look at that.
And Vader gets 2 hits and a crit. Spends the focus. And just loses 2 shields on Torkel.
Wow.
Now, what do you do with Duchess at this point? Do you run away? Do you try to just eat it? I mean, obviously, Rogelio's got the time to sort of, turn around.
I kind of think that it's an interesting position to be in when you're at half points. You know, like I think it's an opportunity to be aggressive sometimes too, because you're like, oh, well, like I'm already half, I've given up half points as long as I don't die. You know, it depends. You know, I think in this situation, you might want to be a little bit aggressive because I think you really do.
I mean, you have to be aggressive because you've got to take out, at this point, his path to success is having to take out Torkel at this point, to pull ahead. He's got to take out Torkel. And if you keep on leaving him on the board, he's just going to run away. And Ketsu is just going to roll up slowly behind, I assume.
I think you have to actually take out Torkel and get Ketsu at least half.
The thing is that once you've broken past the shields, it should be relatively straightforward to break through with Ketsu.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'd have to, I mean, Vader would have to get stressed in order to sort of get Ketsu an arc.
Mm-hmm. For sure. This is
And where does Torkel go? Just because, I mean, obviously he might be forced to rotate this round in order to.
Maybe like a 2 bank to the left and rotate backwards. And then Ketsu can cover the back. Actually, you may not even need to move it backwards. If you can. Can you fit it hard too?
I'm not sure. I'm not confident he can fit a hard 2, but it might be. It might be. Watching these players has been magical. It's been a tense game. Who would have thought?
3 bank away. See, I think that's tough.
And stresses, obviously.
Duchess can get out of this though. That's the tough thing. It's like another whisper situation.
But then Duchess has to not take the mod. I had assumed to sort of pull this out.
Yeah, that's true.
And Ketsu is strained. And where does Duchess go from here?
I'd love a hard 2 from Duchess. You know, like a bank out to the right maybe and a hard 2. I think that's the move.
I'd say a forward straight and then.
Or just a 1 straight.
Oh, banks 1. And then swoops. to a bump, at least depriving Torkel of a shot, but it doesn't sort of limit Torkel's ability.
Mm-hmm. It's better than being in front of him. Where's Darth going?
And it looks like he gets a stress. And Darth 4Ks, gets a stress. And there's that other stress that was necessary. And we're on to combat. And obviously Darth Vader has been dropped down. And Ketsu hoping for that.
Just range 3.
And that's 2 against Vader's 4, but unmodded. And looks like 1 will go through. Allowing...
And that's half points on Vader.
That's half points on Vader. And so...
So no jam?
No, no tractor?
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like we have some triggers being missed here, which is unfortunate.
And it looks like Vader takes another hit. Vader returns fire, but nothing happens. At this point, Duchess is stuck behind Torkel. And has to pull a blue at this point, I'd imagine. And Vader also is stuck doing a blue maneuver. It limits his options.
Especially if you bump into Ketsu, then Ketsu can just throw you right off with the tractor.
Interesting that that he didn't pull the forward bump, but that definitely limits Vader's ability this turn to roll out of arc. Now, if I'm Vader, right, obviously I'm going as fast as I can after burning out of there, making sure. And Ketsu doesn't really have a chance to sort of turn around here, does he?
No, because you got to go before Vader, unfortunately. So I think, I mean, maybe you just do a 1 bank.
I would say that this is the chance to finish off Duchess.
Duchess, yeah.
And so, right, they could hard turn up, and then he could just play safe, right? At this point, Ketsu has been untouched, Torkel's been untouched, and you've got 8 minutes left on the clock. All Joel has to do is run the clock down and hope that Vader isn't able to reposition. Because it looks like Vader is at half, not at full anymore.
Just with 1 force.
And so that puts him at 137 with 1 force, nonetheless.
A 1 bank to the left from Torkel, keeping the arc backwards and probably focusing or maybe jamming. Focus. I love the jam on a Hawk. Such an underrated move.
And he pulls in 2 bank to keep it on Duchess.
So do you target lock here? Yeah.
Absolutely. Get those rerolls. It looks like Duchess probably won't have a shot anyway. And Duchess Ailerons. One banks, clear stress. And can't get out of arc, but does take that focus. Vader bumps. No action.
Not terrible.
And Duchess is safe behind that gas cloud, so that might offer some extra advantage here.
But if somehow Ketsu is successful, it pushes Duchess out in front of Torkoal.
And it's 3 hits.
Wow.
And Duchess pulls it out, is able to
Yep.
survive through that with the focus. So does not get barreled. And it looks like Torkoal's going to take a Hail Mary from, right, with 2 dice. Just 1 crit. And Vader is safe. It's a razor's edge here for Vader. Every time he rolls, I feel my heart jump out of my chest. Darth Vader is currently at 1 health. And as a quick reminder, the Shadowcaster is in a May, so I think we missed that opportunity. And where do we head now? So that's the big question, right? What do you do if you're Rogelio? Let's sort of play through that. What do you think, Will?
Oh, well, they're already moving. 2 bank.
Oh, no. 2 bank. Well, we don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
With Torkoal. I think I this is what I would have done. Clear a way for Ketsu to turn around.
And it looks like that's kind of what he did anyway.
Yeah. Ketsu needs to get behind again. Yep, there we go.
And Ketsu obviously Ks.
Because why not?
And Duchess rolls out with a hard 1. And takes the evade. And Rogelio comes in for a hard 2.
Yeah, I think you had to do that. That's a good call. He chucks Torkoal's thing back.
And
You got to keep your force here, right?
he's got to keep the force here. It seems just dangerous not to do so. I just feel like a focus. He already has a lock. Why switch it? He's not going to get out of arc. He might be able to barrel out of arc of Torkoal, but
Interesting.
Barrels to safety and takes that focus just to get that little advantage behind the gas cloud. But it puts him at a disadvantage next turn because he's got to roll over that. And so Ketsu obstructed range 2 for Vader and range 3 on Duchess, who has an evade.
So I guess that barrel roll did really pay off. Some garbage roll right there.
1 hit.
Followed by another garbage roll.
Followed by another garbage roll. Oh, that's brutal.
But I mean, gas cloud means
Yeah. Yeah. And looks like Torkoal takes a shot. And shoots at Vader. Interesting.
Okay.
Might as well make him burn through that force. Wow. 2 hits. And Vader's safe.
I think Torkoal here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where you got your target lock.
And he's going to fire control system first. No. Going to spend the lock to re-roll it. Spends the focus for a hit crit.
Rough roll.
And
Oof.
Torkel lives through it.
Wow.
Doesn't even have to spend his multiple focuses.
He gets to keep those for Lando.
And Vader has to roll over that gas cloud now. There's no way out of that. And where does Torkel go? I mean, how do you keep Vader, the pressure on Vader, especially if you know he's going to be strained? Like, this is the right opportunity.
Yeah, I'm starting to I don't know if there's a way to get out of here now. You know, the positioning of the ships really favors Scum right now. I don't know.
Or you could run with Duchess if you want, but obviously with a minute and 30 to go, this is a really tense game.
I mean, really, the only points that have been scored against Scum are just a dead Zuckuss. Torkel's not at half. Ketsu's not at half.
Vader is at half.
Same with Duchess, right?
Same with
No,
Duchess as well. Yeah. The status isn't sort of reflected on their scoring board, but it is pretty close. It looks like he's got at least 38 points on Vader. 47 on Duchess and 76 on Whisper.
Yeah, so I think I mean, is Ketsu now the prize? Can you get Ketsu down? No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know if there's a victory condition.
Right here. I mean, with 18
Yeah.
seconds left, I don't imagine there's a victory condition. Especially, I mean, obviously these players have played incredibly well.
For sure.
Rogelio was able to sort of pull it back. I wonder if he's just going to try to keep that MOV at this point. And we'll see what happens. And so that's the timer. And so this is the final round.
R2. Staying stressed. Three bank. Wow, there you go.
And rolls for strain. Fine. Duchess ailerons forward. Does a hard two bumps and is stuck dead in front of Ketsu. Darth Vader 4Ks and gets stressed. And rolls for the strain and gets a strain. Comes down and gets the knockdown all the way to 0.
Oh.
Duchess gets a tractor at the start of engagement.
So if he moves Duchess, I think you definitely take the stress to turn in. I mean, to turn 90 degrees to get a shot on. Not going to make that mistake.
And 2 hits, a pretty average roll. And 1 evade. That's 1 on Duchess. So Duchess does get to return fire here.
Will the dice favor? Let's see.
And 2 hits and a crit.
It could be big.
And pulls an evade.
Hit crit coming through.
And depends on that crit. And what is it?
It's a damaged engine. so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, and so not enough to pull him to half. I don't think.
And then Maul to get the force back because it doesn't matter.
And so he decides to go for a strained Vader, strained and stressed Vader with 2 force.
So he just
spends the focus.
2 with Vader, right?
Yep. Rerolls and spends that to hits.
So
Vader pulls out the evades, right?
Vader rolled 3 dice though. Vader's strained. Yeah.
Oop. They'll re-roll. They seem to have caught it. And that's 1 evade for 1 hit.
And that's a
dead Vader before he gets to shoot. And I believe that is game.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a game.
What a game. There were some unfortunate green dice there, definitely. It was a really tense match. It was exciting to see Rogelio sort of rally towards the end of the game, but unfortunately, with Whisper being taken off the board, I don't think there was any chance of recovery. Any takeaways? Any thoughts for you?
I mean, I love seeing Scum win. It's just a wonderful thing.
Understandably, there was definitely some tension with those dice there. In any case, yeah. And that's a wrap, folks. This has been a really tense week. Congrats to Joel for going 4-0, and obviously Rogelio, even though he lost here, it was an incredibly rally with some rough green dice here. And that's a wrap. Thanks everyone for joining us for Squadron's Chassis War Tournament. Join us next Sunday, 8:30 for our final installment. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already. If you guys have any feedback or thoughts, leave it in the chat. Find us on Facebook. And obviously find us on Discord if you want to join our group. I'm Josh Shu. Thanks for joining us, Alex and Will.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And this is 207 Squadron signing off.